Good evening. Welcome to Mount Nebo Baptist Church. And I'd like to, my name is Councilman Vernon Hartley, Ward 5, City of Jackson. And I'll describe the ward to you in a moment. But if you would all join us, this is Pastor John Wick of the church. Sir, if you want to tell us a little bit about your church and lead us off in a word of prayer, please.
Okay, again, I am John Wicks, Jr., pastor here. We certainly welcome you, each and every one, to Mount Nebo Baptist Church. He asked for just a little tidbit about Mount Nebo. Mount Nebo has been a part of this community right here since 1923. This year we celebrated our 100th anniversary, and so we're well vested in this community, and we thank you all for coming out. It's our pleasure to host this event. We want to ask, I see a couple of our deacons, we want to ask them to stand. Our deacon chairman, Brother Davis, Brother Wilson, Brother Taylor is out front, and all of our members of Mount Nebo, would you stand? Members of Mount Nebo, would you stand? Let's give them a hand. Thank you all so much. Again, you're very welcome. Let's bow for a word of prayer. Gracious Master, we thank you for your blessings, Lord. We thank you for another beautiful day that you favored us with, Lord, and we just thank you that you brought us through the day. We thank you, God, for your Son, Jesus Christ, who died for our sins and rose again. We thank you, God, for the city of Jackson. We ask your blessings upon all of our leadership. We ask that you would bless Mayor Lumumba. We ask that you would bless Councilman Hartley. We ask that you would continue to bless the entire city council. Please, God, bless Mr. Hennepin and all who are striving to make our community a better community. We thank you. We ask for your blessings upon this meeting. We pray that it would be cordial, and we pray that it would be productive. We know that this is your house, and we always honor you in your house. You alone are worthy. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Wick. We certainly appreciate deacons and members and everyone that helped support us in this venue. As he stated, Mount Nebo has been a part of this community, pulling it together, making it strong for 100 years now. We certainly appreciate the presence. Thank you. Again, my name is Councilman Vernon Hartley, Ward 5, City of Jackson. Where's Ward 5? Well, it goes from the zoo down to McDowell Road, goes from Highway 18 over at the Metro Center, all the way over to University Boulevard, Terry Road area. We have several high schools, Jim Hill and Provine. But one of the things we really boast about is I love Jackson State University right here in Ward 5. And so we're glad to have you here tonight. We're going to be talking about discussing the new water rates. And I'll quickly go through the agenda. Everyone should have a copy. If you have questions, please get with my deputy clerk, Annette Fair. Where are you? Okay, that's Miss Fair. Get with her. She will give you a little sliver of paper, and we ask that you write down your question or concern on that, and I will read it from up here as we try to address some issues. But primarily tonight, we will be focusing on the new water rates and the certain elements and what changes that's going to bring about. Also, the Jackson Water, under a consent decree with the U.S. government, Jackson Water has taken over sewage and wastewater as well. And I know some folks have some issues with the wastewater. You might see them coming down the street and so forth. And I'm sure that Ted's going to talk about how they plan on managing a lot of those type concerns. Before we get into the weeds here, I'd like to acknowledge, are there any elected officials here? Okay. We're glad to have Councilman Foote. He's my colleague from Ward 1, City of Jackson. Glad to have him here front and center, and he might can answer some questions too. You never know. Glad you're here, sir. Again, are there any other elected officials? Okay, very good then. We'll go ahead and get started then. Mr. Ted Hennepin. The order of business tonight is we're first going to start out talking a little bit about the interim stipulated order. Basically, it gives control, responsibilities for water, drinking water, and now sewage and wastewater to an interim third-party manager, Mr. Hennepin. We'll also be talking about the purpose of the new water rates. Just why is there a need for increases or changes? We'll be talking about some of the elements, also the rates for average customers and SNAP customers, and then other customers of Jackson Water as well. And then we will talk a little bit about the sewage and wastewater responsibilities by Jackson Water and how you can put in your concerns and your questions concerning wastewater, sewage, or sewage leaks into the system. And again, if you would, please if you have a question, please raise your hand so Ms. Annette Fair, the Deputy Clerk for Ward 5, can bring you a little sliver of paper and we can jot those questions down and we'll try to get around to addressing them. So again, Ted, it's the second time we've done this, huh? And if you don't mind, tell a little bit about yourself and we can go ahead and get started, sir.
Well, thank you all for coming out tonight. I know it's tough this time of year, leave on a weeknight and show up to listen to me talk about water. Maybe not the top of your priorities, but glad you're out here tonight. Appreciate you coming in. So a little bit about me. Again, I was appointed just 378 days ago, I believe. So we're just over a year. Judge Wingate, after some negotiations with the city, Department of Justice, the Mississippi Department of Health, and the city of Jackson, developed what they call stipulated order. Essentially, it's a receivership. I mean, nobody likes to use that word, but that's essentially what it is. And so I am the receiver, essentially, which means under Judge Wingate's direction, I've got control of the water and sewer system. And that includes revenue that needs to be generated, how it's spent. And I'll start with, many of you know we've got a lot of federal dollars. We've got about we got $600 million from Congress directly, another 125 through Army Corps of Engineers. That money's all for projects and to get us over the hump right now of the fact that we don't have the revenue coming in we need to operate the system. And within 3 years, all that money is going to be into the system. The projects will be under construction. We will have gone through the bridge money we have to take care of some O&M costs between now and then, operation and maintenance. And so we need to be able to stand on our own as a utility. Jackson needs to do this. We need everybody to do their part so this utility can be sustainable going forward. And that means we need to raise enough money to make that happen. You all are aware, I believe, that over the last several years, the utility has been supplemented by general fund. So we haven't raised enough money to pay all the bills. So we've had to turn to general fund to offset the difference so that we could break even. We've got some significant costs associated with the utility. One is our debt. And we bought a lot of house. We've got more house than we can afford. So over many years, we've accumulated about $260 million in debt. So every month, they take about just under $2 million out of the bank account to pay off our monthly mortgage on that debt. That we're only bringing in about $5 million a month. So $2 million goes right off the top to pay for our debt. We've got another million, about 1.2, that goes right to the contractor that's operating our sewer system, Veolia. They've been operating it for 7 years. They operate all the plants in the sewer system. Another $2.5 million goes to Jacobs. They're operating our water treatment plants. So now you're already saying, wait a minute, it adds up to more than we're bringing in, and I haven't even gone over the rest of it. So we need about $104 million a year to pay all our bills, and that's really a pretty bare bones budget. And in that, we've built in a little bit of work on the sewer system because none of that federal dollars that we received can be used on the sewer system. It's all restricted to the drinking water system by statute. When Congress gave that to us, they gave it to us under authority that is only on the drinking water side. So the sewer system, which you all know needs a lot of work, is really one of the big reasons we need to get moving on getting the rates set that will support the system, because I said we had some bridge money, essentially. Some of that, 150 million of the 600 we got from federal government can be used for operation and maintenance. So I'm paying that $2.5 million a month bill to operate our water plants with federal dollars until we can start raising enough money to pay it ourselves. So that's giving us the ability to make ends meet, just barely, with what's coming in today, to pay all the bills we have as they're going. We need to get going on generating revenue. And I know Councilman Foot's here, and he's been a proponent of we should collect everything we're billing. And we're trying. And in fact, you'll start seeing shut-offs right after the first year. We're gonna start shutting people off again for not paying their bill. It's a cruel and nasty thing to have to do, but we need people to pay for the water they're using. It's the only way it's gonna work. But even if we shut everybody off, got them all paying on the current rates, we wouldn't get 104 million. We'd get somewhere around 65 or 75 million tops. I think the most we've ever raised is 72 million, and that was like in 2014. And it's been going down since then. Last year it was around 50. So we got a big gap to fill, and we want to do that so it's affordable for everybody. And so we went back to the drawing board, just like you would with your budget. You fill out your budget, and you see that your income's not going to cover your budget. You're out looking for a part-time job. You're looking for some other way to fill that gap. In our case, we set that budget, and the only way we can get any revenue is from people that use the water. So we need to make sure everyone's paying, and we're gonna be working hard at doing that. We need to make sure the bills are correct, and we've got new meters going in, and we're almost 100% new meters. We're about 95% now, somewhere in the low 90s. So not a lot of meters left to put in the ground. We got a lot of people out there that frankly we don't even know they're using our water, and we need to find them and get them in an account and get them metered. So these are all things that we're working hard at getting to happen. But in the meantime, we needed to set a rate that was set so that if everyone was paying their bill, everyone could afford it, because if we're gonna shut you off, we wanna make sure you can pay your bill. Don't wanna have people that can't afford to pay their bill and shut them off. And the way we've been able to come up with that piece of this is by using SNAP benefits. So the state of Mississippi, and almost every state in the nation, won't allow a utility to discriminate among classes of customers. Meaning, if you're in the residential class of customers, everyone has to pay the same rate. And that's true in Mississippi. It's true in every state that I'm aware of. There may be one out there that doesn't. I've been in this business for 40 years, and I know that you can't decide you want to have one group of residential customers pay one rate and someone else pay something else. What we did was we created a class of customer called SNAP. And the way you qualify for that is if you're getting SNAP benefits, you automatically are going to get put into this category, we hope, and I'll explain some of that. And your bill will actually be the availability fee, and I'll talk about the pieces of the bill. The availability fee is lower for the SNAP customer class, and I'll explain how that works. And so that allows the most economically disadvantaged part of our community, the people that are on those SNAP benefits, to get a bill they could afford based on the income levels that we know are SNAP qualified. On a national scale, we're working hard to make the utility bills eligible to be paid for with SNAP benefits. So an increase in SNAP benefits would allow people to pay their utility bill with SNAP benefits. This is getting some discussion in DC, and we're going to continue to push this. But in the meantime, we're trying our own SNAP customer classification. So we're going to work with the state to get that SNAP rolls, match it with our customer accounts, and automatically try to put folks into that customer class. Of course, we'll miss some. How do you get on SNAP if you don't get into the original? You'd have to call our number. Everyone knows it by now, 601-500-5200. And you'd have to probably, and we haven't worked the detail, but we think a picture of your SNAP card would be all we would need to put you into that SNAP program at that point. And again, it's only available for the account holder of record. So if the account holder is someone who's not a SNAP beneficiary, they would not be able to get it. So that's the only way we could make that work. So that's about 25% of our citizenry here in Jackson are in the SNAP benefit program. So we've got a lot of people that will benefit from that. Everybody else is going to, and everybody across the board, the rate's going to be set up in two segments. One, charge for the water you actually use through your meter. And that's going to be, right now, that's a combination of a sewer charge and a water charge that's $9.21 if you add the two together. Under the new rate, that's going to be $6 for everybody that's using water. All right, it's going down, yay. But there's always a catch. And so there's going to be availability charge for every meter based on meter size, and you all, pretty much every residential house in Jackson has a 5/8 inch meter, and for that meter size, the availability charge would be $40. Based on averages, and we've been now collecting real data from Jackson water users for the better part of 2023. As the new meters have gone in, we've gotten more and more data. And we know that the average customer uses about 600 cubic feet. Okay, sorry, we measure water in cubic feet. That's crazy, but that's how our meters were set up. 600 cubic feet is equivalent of about 5,000 gallons a month. And that's what our average customer uses. And so if you use 600 cubic feet times $6, that's 6 times 6, that's $36, and a $40 availability charge, your water bill would be $76. For some of you, that's going to be an increase. For some of you, it may be a decrease. But it all depends on how much water you use. If you use more water, in the weird way this works, you actually might see your bill about the exact same. If you use about 800 cubic feet a month, your bill is going to be almost a break even from what it is today to what it will be under the new program. If you use less, because there's that fixed availability charge at $40, your bill could go up because of that. If you use very little water, say you use 3 CCF, and that's about the minimum. That is the minimum in today's charges, is 300 cubic feet. 3 times 6 would be 18 plus the $40 availability. You'd be paying $58 a month for that, and that might be higher than you're paying today. So there's going to be people paying more. There's going to be people paying less. Your situation, you really need to look at your bill and see how much you use on a regular basis, and you can do that simple math that I was just doing. You take that number, the number of CCF that shows on your bill, the consumption, times $6, add 40, and that's what your new bill will be. And if you need help with your old bill, you could call again, our 601-500-5200, and ask them what your most recent consumption was. Ask them if that looks normal across the last several months, and they'll help you out if you want to see what that impact's going to be. And again, we need all of that to raise the $104 million so that we can pay for all the work we're doing, and we can be sustainable in a few years. We don't expect to have 100% of the people paying by the time the end of the year comes next year, but we're hoping we get very close. Most utilities in this country have about 99% of their customers paying their bill because they turn off the water and people need water, so they pay their bill. So the collection rate is very high. We don't think we're going to get to 99% over the first 12 months. It's probably going to take us 3 years to get there, to find all these accounts, get all the meters in. So we're in this accelerated move to try to get to that point, but we're planning on not seeing all that revenue while we've got these federal funds to help bridge that gap. But we'll be out of these federal funds in 3 years, actually 2 years now. We're 1 year in. So we've spent $50 million of the $150 already, just doing operation and maintenance, the find and fix work. You see the people all over the city fixing pipes, fixing leaks. That's all being paid for by the federal government right now. On the sewer side, we're getting a lot done. So when we took over the sewer system, there were, in the order, there's a list of 215 active overflows, meaning sewers running out on the street, running into a creek, running in a backyard, and this is on a dry day. This shouldn't be happening. It should never happen. But there were 215 locations listed in the order. We know there's more than that. We fixed over 50 by the end of October, and only 19 of those were on the list. So we're making repairs, and some of them aren't even on the list. And so we're making great progress, but that's going to be dependent on local revenue because we don't have any federal funds to match. So we've spent a lot of money over the first few months trying to get a jump on this, and we're hope's not a great strategy, but we're working hard to make sure that folks understand the need to pay their bills so we can make these improvements and get sewage off the streets of Jackson where it never should have been to begin with. So that's kind of the big picture. So there's a volumetric charge, which is the $6. And the reason I'm saying everyone's paying $6, unless you're a really water user, and you might be, Pastor, I'm sorry, big building. If you're over 100 cubic feet per month, 30 CCF, and I doubt any of you would be unless you had a wide open leak, and we can talk about leaks in a minute. But if you're over 30 CCF, then the rate for the water goes from $6 to $12. If you go over 100 CCF, it goes to 14. And if you use more than 350 CCF a month, you pay 16 for every 100 cubic feet above 350. It's called an inclining block tiered rate. It's common in utilities across the United States, and it's designed that way to encourage big water users to conserve water, to find ways in their business, however they are operating, to find better ways to use water so we don't have to build excess capacity and force everyone to pay for that capacity when it's just some large industrial users that might be driving that need. So if they need that water, they have to pay for that water. And so that's the inclining block rate. But for almost everybody in Jackson, you'll pay $6 per CCF. Then we have the availability charge, and again, I said for most everybody in Jackson, again, you have a 5/8" meter, it's $40 a month. If you're in the SNAP customer class, the availability charge is $10 a month. And then if you're a bigger user, so it might be, I don't know what size meter you've got here, Pastor, but hopefully it's not a big one, but the big meters have a bigger availability charge based on a ratio of how much water can go through that meter. So it's all trying to be consistent. I know I had a question about what happens to the folks outside of our actual city of Jackson that get water from Jackson. They're our customers, but they're outside of the city's jurisdiction. So that's under the Public Service Commission. We haven't worked with them yet, but the goal is to have everybody connected to the water system paying the same rate, no matter where you are, because that's fair and equitable from our perspective. And I know it hasn't been the way it is for some outside of the city. If you're 1 mile out, it's outrageously, one of them's outrageously high, and I can't remember which one it is, but everyone's gonna pay the same, because they're getting the same service, you're drinking the same water, and the water is safe to drink. I know that comes up constantly, but I know there's a history here of not trusting the water. How many of you actually drink tap water unfiltered? And it's almost, and you're not unique in Jackson. Anywhere I go, I ask that question, and most people say they've never done it, or that it's been 20 years, or 30 years, or I don't know where the distrust started, and it's going to take a long time to flip that around. I think we'll continue to try to build trust and confidence in the water system. We've got professionals with Jacobs operating the plants. They're doing a great job, and the water gets tested constantly. We put the test results up. It's a link on our website to the health department. Those are clear and posted. We haven't had any issues with the water. We're going to keep it that way. You haven't seen water pressure drop in recent months, I'm sorry. Recent years, yes. Heck, you only have to go back to last December and you can say that we had the problem. We've done a great job of getting the system so it works much more like it should. We've opened valves throughout the system. Last night, none of you knew this while you were all sleeping, we turned the fuel plant off. The JH fuel plant, the one off 55, right there at the Waterworks curve, turned it off for 3 hours. None of you saw it because we pumped from Curtis, we got the system set up, we could actually do that, which allows us to do some maintenance operations that we haven't been able to do in a long, long time. Because if we'd done that a few months ago, we would have lost the whole city. Y'all been waking up without water. In fact, we were kidding with some folks Yesterday afternoon, I was telling a group that was meeting with us that we were going to do that, and they're like, oh, they're calling their wives, fill up the bathtub, we're going to be out of trouble in the morning. But nobody noticed it. It worked perfectly. Not saying we want to do that every night, but we're working on continuing to improve the system. There'll be more and more investments, trying to keep the pressure up. You know, we took a section of South Jackson back in October and got them water that they haven't seen in years. I got a text message from one of the residents said, first time in 5 years, he's been able to have family and friends at Thanksgiving because he had water. So we know we're making progress. Is it going to happen overnight? No. Is it going to take a lot of money? Yes. Is it going to take a lot of effort? Yes. But we really appreciate your patience. I think we're getting, the next big hurdle for us, deep freeze. How many of you are worried about the system going down in a freeze? Everybody's worried about the system going down in a freeze. We've taken a lot of effort to make sure that the plants are as winterized as they can be, because the system now operates differently with the valves open and the water flowing through it. We're confident we have some pipe breaks. We respond quickly. You might notice that if you've called in any pipe breaks. We're pretty much out there. On the big ones, we're really out there fast. If you've got a small leak, and I know it's all relative, big leak out of your meter seems to be big to you. It might take us a few days or a week to get to it because we're still prioritizing stuff. We don't have endless resources, but we're out there constantly trying to fix things, get them going, and responding quickly to everybody's needs. And let's see, what else? The sewage concerns, you report that, yep. Sure.
Yes, Ted, look, just want to slow down a little bit, a lot of information.
I'm trying to leave time for questions.
Yeah, and I have a couple, and you've answered one.
All right.
One was about the low water pressure, and we're coming up on January here. Traditionally, we have issues during that time. And so you have made preparations, and you're
We've done,
fairly confident.
I'm pretty confident. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to see it. We're gonna have to prove that we can live through a deep freeze. We got through school. We got schools opened. Didn't have to send anyone home for no water. There were some individual schools later in the month that had some water issues in the building, but we got all the schools open, Jackson State open, everybody open, didn't send kids home. We're like, yes, that was the first big hurdle. Next big freeze will be the next one.
Okay, again, breaking this down, and let me just go ahead and just take a personal moment here. As a councilman, we're going to have to vote on the water increase.
You want me to explain how that works
Please,
from the
please
order?
do.
So the interim stipulated order says that I can propose a rate structure, a rate increase or decrease or whatever. I can change rates. But I have to propose it to the administration, to the mayor and his staff. And I did that early this month. And then he has to put it on, he has no choice based on the order. If he's going to comply with the order, he has to put it on the next regular meeting agenda for the council to consider. So that's where we're going, and that's going to be the 19th. That's next Tuesday. And so council can take action, or if they don't, this is the weird part, I can still do this. Under Judge Wingate's order, I've got the authority to do this anyway. Now, obviously, we'd like to have the support of the council and the city, but
Absolutely.
whether you vote yes or no, it might happen.
And I think perhaps the better way to go about this or to look at this is we need to get everyone educated. We need to get everyone where they understand why it's costing what it costs and the fact that we're actually building a system that's going to be robust and strong. And the bottom line is if we don't have a good, strong system, we don't have a good, strong Jackson. Businesses will use that excuse, well, we got to move, there's too many water problems. Residents coming in, having issues. You know, we went through the drought of last year and hauling pallets, loads of water, getting it out into the communities. We all did that. And so now we want to fix this so it doesn't happen again. And one of the reasons for this water increase, if you could explain a little bit, you explained the volume, how that volume is the amount of water going through the meter, and that's going to vary per person. The availability part is the part where we're building the system, building the stability and the sustainability of the system itself. Can you talk a little bit more? Again, both of these are charges, but the heavier charge is on the availability side, or
For many
potentially.
users, right, for some
Potentially could be
users.
on the availability side. So
So-
could you explain that?
Sure. So the cost of water is really not in the water itself. Believe it or not, we get it for free. Either the Pearl River or the reservoir. You could go up there with a bucket, bring your water home. Same cost. But we have to treat it, which is adding a little bit of chemical and a lot of energy to move it from the treatment, and then we get it out in the distribution system so it's available at your tap all the time. And I know in Jackson that's still a new concept. But the idea that anytime you turn on your faucet, water's there. But a lot of our costs don't change. Say you're out of town and you don't use your water at all, maybe a month. None of our costs change except a tiny little bit of energy and chemical. The rest of it, the maintenance staff, the debt I was just talking about, all that stays. Doesn't matter if you use water or not. That's fixed cost in the business. And that's why we've moved our costs to the availability charge, because those costs stay the same whether you use water or not. You know, if you're not at home, we still have to maintain the pipes. We still have to have people at the plants. We still have to be putting pressure in. We have to use power to get it to you and to keep it pressurized the whole time. And so whether you decide to open your tap in the morning or not, those costs are the same. So why should we try to recover all that money from just the people who actually use the water on the particular day? It's not a great model. And so more utilities across the country are doing this change to identify the fixed costs. What's interesting, you know, last year, shortly after this time when I got here, I talked about some really unusual ways to bill for water. Maybe got beat up a little bit in the press, beat up in the legislature, and it didn't go over well. The idea of doing it based on square footage or property value got slammed pretty hard, and then they passed a bill to make sure I couldn't do that. And so the bill, 690, I think HB 698, anyways, put into law, and it says water utilities have to charge based on consumption plus a fee to recover your cost of debt, capital, operations, and maintenance. So we're following that law as closely as we can. And so we're conforming with the brand new law that was actually thrown in to stop what we were trying to do. And so we're finding a way to work. And I think it, in the end, it's probably much better than the ideas I was touting earlier in the year. But, you know, we give it a shot. Yes, ma'am.
African American, she was white, came from the north to the south back in civil rights time to teach us just what we were up against being Mississippi citizens. She said, you have your black schools, your black teachers, your black principals, and your black students. You can teach them whatever you want to. I'll do to you what you let me. And your information is very helpful, and I appreciate what you're saying, but you have to understand where I'm coming from, where I am in Mississippi. Mr. Dick Gregory, the late Dick Gregory, said that if black women would keep their boys off the football field, we could have whatever we want. Now, this is a similar situation. You understand what he meant, right? Most of us may not, because we're not as informed as you are, and you are, and you are. And it's pretty, I'm shaking inside, and being a child of God, the pastor knows that you shouldn't be anxious for anything. But this is really getting under my skin, because I live beside the house that was here in West Jackson, the first black person that moved on the street that I live on. That person was used by developers in Madison. They had a black woman to move into the house, and for sale signs went up everywhere. The house is still there. One person said that before I let a nigga live in my house, I'll burn it down on my street. And he did. We've been through a lot. And then to have held as a result of the white flight and everything deteriorated, and you know that the water is a basic #1 tax base, And it's just like a war. I know I am so frustrated to hear that we have to take on another burden. I had a friend who was a sharpshooter in the Army, and he said, if you want to win a war, you throw everything at your opponent. And everything has been thrown at Jackson. And it's no question about it. We are the best thing since sliced bread right here in Jackson. I hope we don't have to pay any more for our suffering. And it's not like there isn't another alternative, because there is.
I think you're paying more so you don't suffer. I would just say,
Yeah.
I think you're going to be paying
No.
more so you don't suffer.
Okay, I have my question. Thank you for reminding me. Have you seen the show, the little movie called Rango? Watch Rango. This is Rango.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You don't want any questions written down, correct?
Yeah, and please, at the door, we provided you little slips of paper. If you have a question, Annette Fair, where are you? Annette, raise your hand. She will provide you with a little sliver of paper for your questions, and we'll try to answer them up here if possible, because we want to make sure we stay on track and make sure that we get out of here on time. So I want to be conscious of that. But on this water thing, the availability seems to be, that part of the charge seems to be the high part. And that's for the system. I mean, the other part.
But there's an offset with the reduction in the usage cost, because it's $9.21 today, it's down to $6, but there's a $40 service availability charge.
Right.
So it all depends on how much water you use.
Okay.
And so, again, if you want to look at your direct impact, you need to know how much water you use on a monthly basis, and calculate and look at your current bill and look at what the new rate would be for you.
Yeah. Again, if you have a question to ask, please gather one of the yellow sheets, and we will try to address them up here. One of the questions I had, Ted, is on that on the average. I think I remember reading someplace that the typical water bill may go up and maybe $15 for the average customer or something along that line.
About $10 for someone who uses 6 CCF.
Okay,
That is the
so we're-
average based on what we were seeing in the meters.
Okay.
But that means that's an average. It means
Right.
half the people are using less, half the people are using more.
Okay, so
The bill will vary based on actual usage.
a large group of folks fit into that average category. And so for the average person, it'll be an additional $10 a month,
Correct.
perhaps.
Perhaps.
My question is this. I've gotten a bill one month, maybe $135. Another month, maybe $35. Then another month, $75. So it's hard for me to see an average. And I know you guys are working on the billing, still working on the billing.
If you don't, you just got to discount the old meters and estimated usage, which a lot of people have had for years, because those meters failed miserably, and that's widely known. Siemens settled for basically the cost that it took to put them in. So we've lost years of having accurate meter reads.
Okay,
So
but
the only meter reads we have now are new meters, reading well. We're getting data. We can see in the readings, when you talk to one of our representatives, they can pull up your usage and say, you had a leak that started on this day and was fixed on that day. Because we can see increments, 1 hour increments of your water usage every day, all month. So we get a lot more information, and you soon will be able to get an app on your phone to check on that. And if we get very sophisticated, we'll be able to outreach to you and say, we noticed your water consumption just shot up. You might need to check for a leak. So those all things are possible.
They could, I asked them if they could come out and reread my water bill. They said no. And then another question, why was it moved to Rankin County or where? I don't even know where it's at.
So,
And
so we are not in Rankin County. Let's make sure everyone understands this.
Well, she couldn't tell me at the number that I dialed. She just said they were not coming out if it wasn't at the meter. And I mean, that's crazy. I don't need for that bill to double so you can do an average of that particular $266 water bill.
So the reason we don't come out to read a meter is because you don't have to. It sends the signal to us. So there is no more coming out to read a meter. Well, we need to look at it closer and tell you when we think it went up. Okay, there's going to be cases we aren't going to be able to solve immediately.
And, you know,
266, I'll just have to move like everybody else. I'm not one of the SNAP people, okay? I'm a professor at Jackson State, but I don't make that much money either, not to pay what you could pay almost for a house note.
and thank you for your service there at Jackson State, sir. And a lot of folks may be concerned about that, Ted. Look, and my variation in my bill has been within the last 4 months.
Do we
So
know
it's-
you have a new meter? I don't know that you do.
I haven't checked it. But again, we
Pardon? The blue mark means it's been mapped. So we've had folks out with GPS units, essentially mapping the exact location of your meter to put it into our system so we can see it on the map. And when they map it, they shoot a little blue paint on it. But the new meter, if it's in the rectangle or sort of oval-looking box and it's got a plastic lid, that's the new meter. The old ones had some too.
Outstanding bills and are not paying on it.
So most of we retired we moved the disputed debt off in a lot of accounts. And so as we were transitioning to the new billing system, new meters, we're taking a lot of that old prior to November 29th, 22. Anything that was on the books prior to that has been taken off of your bill. We still have it because we can't write it off according to the state of Mississippi, but we're not going after you to collect it. So you should have seen a reduction for anything that was prior to November 29th, 22, because that's when the order took effect, and I didn't think I could collect that money. That was owed to the city at one point. And I under probably very disputed or challenged ways to prove that it was accurate. So we took all of that pre-November 29th owed money and took it off of people's bills. So if you had anything that was prior to November 29th, 22, it's not showing up on your bill anymore.
Ted, who's going to collect that? I know that the city was responsible.
We're just
for-
not worried about it now.
Okay, so.
The
and-
debt that was in the system prior to November 29th, 22, we are just not worried about it.
So if I had a bill for $2,000, the only part of that you're going to charge me for is the part that started after November of 2022.
Correct.
Up until now.
Right. So you
So
could
that-
build up 12 months now, right? We're at the 12 month. So if you haven't paid your bill, you're building up that to the point where you're going to have a hard time paying for it. And that's, as we move forward and we start the severance process to get people to pay their bill, we want you never to get more than a month behind. And we're going to show up on your door and try to get you to pay your bill or cut your water off, because once you're 2 months behind, it's really hard to pay. And if you get 3 months behind, really, really challenged. So it's important for us to make sure we're fast, that we get to you and make sure you know you missed a payment, you need to get it paid up. We've got some assistance programs. So if you have a financial challenge for one particular month and you call and let our reps know, we've got a fund that's out of the Mississippi Community Foundation to assist folks with those one-time current payment, not the past due stuff that you built up since last November. But if you're trying to stay current, we can help you out. And so that's already in place.
Okay. I think we had okay, if you don't mind, please, can you walk to the microphones, please? Or if you can't walk over there, we'll bring a microphone to you if you can't walk. But please, go to the microphone and identify yourself, please.
I'm Emma Redden, and as Northeast Jackson, and as a single adult in a pretty decent house, I take care of my home, and for some reason, I am getting large water bills. I've been getting them for 2 or 3 years, $95. Today I got one for 103. I'm just not using all that water, so I don't understand it. I don't think it's fair. And, you know, I'm retired now. I'm on a fixed income, and if had I known this situation would have gotten the way it is, I would have never left my job. And so my house is paid for, so I'm basically forced to either move to to Madison or to Richland, where I can get decent water bills. You know, and I don't like that. Another thing, it seems that you all are focusing on Northeast Jackson because of the large houses and things that's out there. But I just don't think it's fair, and I know that I'm not using the water, and I don't like it, and I'm going to pay it as long as I can, and when I can't, I just have to leave Jackson. No, it doesn't make any sense. There are people living next door to me with 4 and 5 people in a household. I'm an individual. I am paying 3 or 4 times what they are paying. Some of them are paying $40 and $50. Some of them are not paying anything because they are not paying bills at all. For a while, I was the only person basically on my street paying a water bill. They were trying to get bills, but they never did. So finally, I think they did. But there are people that has not paid any water bills. They just got large bills, and nobody going after them for it.
And again, we're going
But
to
I can't pay for everybody's bills. I can pay mine, but not everybody else's. So you all need to do something about it. I don't understand why you can't prorate the bills where everybody's paying $45 or $50 a month and collect all this money from these people that are not paying, and then perhaps we would not have to go through this.
So the rate that's set is as if everyone's paying the bill. We need everyone paying the bill at this rate to generate $104 million a year.
Hello, my name is Priscilla Williams Teal. I wanted to ask a question. I know when you first took on this assignment, you said it was going to take up a year, that you thought it might have taken a year for you to get things done, and then you realized it was 4 years that you would do this. I hear you talk about the monies that will have to be spent, and it seems to me that if 600 million up to 800 million, it will be going towards you all and not basically on the system. Now, I did a Facebook, I shot a Facebook project, whereas in my house, the water, the hot and cold water stayed white for about 28 to 30 minutes. And I want to know, has every citizen in this city received an annual summary report on the safety of drinking water in the city of Jackson? Because I think it's very important. You talk about us spending money and paying the bill, but yet we don't know if the water is really safe to drink. We hadn't gotten a report. So I think, you know, the Safe Water Drinking Act was passed in 1974 for every person here to receive that report.
And we mailed those out to every citizen in
I
Jackson.
didn't get one. Did you all get a safe
it was
drinking water report?
It was our water quality report. It went out to every household in Jackson.
And that's, isn't that a state or?
It's a
or
requirement by the,
It's
it's a
required by the
requirement by the federal law and the state.
federal law and the
we-
state that we mail that out.
And
So
we provided it to everybody, and it's on our website. anytime
perhaps you
wanna
can
look at it.
get her information, Carla, if you don't mind, if you
Just
can
go
get
to
their
the
information.
JXN Water
And make
website.
sure that she
Right
gets
there.
that information.
Yes, because I think it's very important that each one of us
Yeah.
get that.
And we mailed
I
it
mean,
to
especially you talking about going up on the race of paying the bill.
We mailed it to everyone, and the white coloring in your water is usually called it's an aeration thing. There's something in your plumbing probably that's creating, essentially putting air bubbles in, and it settles out. It goes away, right?
No, I actually did research, and based on this water, it sat in my tub and it turned gray. The bottom of the tub turned gray, so that was something called hard water, which has some type of chemical base in it. So I'm out of Ward 3, and we have been having issues over in Ward 3. So I want to know what is happening, and if we know for a fact that the water is safe to drink, because it also, in the research, talks about your skin and the residue that's left from the water, and that's not safe to drink.
And without testing your water, I don't know what's going on in your water.
Yeah,
Ted,
something
are
going
there,
But the water quality reports were mailed. They're also on our website. We meet Safe Drinking Water Act across the board.
is there a way to, if know of someone, I think there was a nonprofit that was out sampling water a short while ago. Or do you guys go out and sample the water? Or-
If-
and I know the State Department does, State Department of Health.
We sample throughout the system. We don't go in people's houses typically, but if someone's complaining about discolored water, they call in. We check the street to make sure it's not some issue on the street, and we do have a contractor on board. It's a local environmental contractor that will go take a sample at that tap if we're still having issues.
Okay, and she's going to collect your name and okay.
Hello? Yes, I have a question here. I live in Westchester Hills. I live near Clinton. But since I've changed the meter, which was November the 1st on a Wednesday, I got my last bill here. I'm only paying, last month my bill was $66.97. When I got my bill for this month, it's $400 and some dollars. All right, that's a big jump, okay? Now, I called that number, and nobody could give me information on what they can do about that. Now, you tell me what I can do about that. Now, what I did do, I paid $80 on the bill and sent it in, but I don't want to be paying something I done paid already.
Understand?
To try to make that bill up, I'll pay somebody else's bill.
Without looking at your meter right now, or your record, again, we don't look at meters, we can pull it up, probably had a leak that you don't know about, but we'd have to look into it to see when it started and what it might be. You know, just a running toilet that you don't even hear can be hundreds of gallons a day. Over the course of a month, that could be thousands of gallons.
Ted, can anything be done?
Yeah,
For
so-
instance,
So
you know,
again, I can't explain the situation why the customer service rep didn't look at the usage and say, it looks like you had a leak, you might want to get your plumbing checked.
I don't have a leak.
Well, again,
Okay.
these meters don't magically make up numbers.
Now, I did pay the bill, and I sent a letter
Right.
with it.
Okay, well,
And said I need my meter read again. I've lived in there 43 years and have never had a problem. Paid my bill on time. Never had a problem with a water bill until November.
Ted, is there a way to reconcile? For instance, if there is a problem
we need
there.
to know that there's a leak, it's been fixed, and then we
okay.
will deal with adjustments. But
Okay.
that is exactly what happens.
So the first step is to
Call in, figure
call
it out.
in, get the reason why you believe there's a discrepancy in the bill. You guys look at your records.
Yeah,
and-
we can see.
And you can see.
What day the usage goes up,
Okay. And
if
then,
they're on a new meter.
and then based on that, you can go into the other discussion of, okay, this is what we can do in order to work out the bill.
Right.
Okay.
We'll be fair with adjustments for leaks.
Right.
You know, a lot of utilities, you've still used the water. The water had a cost to us, but again, the water isn't expensive in the big scheme of things.
Right.
So adjusting the leaks off isn't a big deal. But we need to show that there's definitely a date that we can see that leak started, a hose was left on, and that at some point it was restored back to its normal usage. And we can see that now with the sophisticated metering that we've got. This gives us great tools to be able to help pinpoint all that.
Okay, now I believe that, Carly, you had a handout that shows folks how they can go online and actually see their bills, see the increase, and basically they can talk through or get a better understanding of how
Are
this
we
thing
talking
is.
about this, the flyer?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, there are some folks that don't have computers, can't go online, but if you do, if you have the resources, this handout here, you can go and actually review your history, et cetera. Now, if you don't have it, again,
Call.
the only thing available is that 500-5200 telephone number. And please get some type of tracking number. If you're reporting a concern or an issue, get a tracking number. Make sure someone get back with you so that until you get the issue resolved.
And we're not going to be perfect. It's going to, we started from nothing You know, we're 1 year in. We're trying our best. It's going to take a while. It's not going to be perfect day one. Not going to be perfect day 500.
Okay, folks, please, there's just one second, sir. In order for us to get through this meeting, we need to have some questions. Again, we had a
We aren't
meeting.
going to be able to deal with individual bills.
Right, and
here.
that's my
People
point.
need to call in. If you don't get satisfied, make an appointment when you're calling in, and then we'll make sure you can sit down with somebody.
And actually,
And it's not in Rankin County. We're on Fortification, right off 55. We are not in Rankin County. Our call center we contract with is in Rankin County. They were there before we even contracted with them. They've been there for 30 years. We went to them because they were an available call center here in Mississippi. So the rumors of us being in Rankin, way overblown. We are not in Rankin. One of our contractors, our call center, is in Rankin. Our operation is on Fortification, right in Jackson. And our contractors work off of Michael Avalon in Jackson. So we don't have any facilities in Rankin County.
Okay, let's move on. I have a question here. How did we come up with the SNAP? We have people on SNAP, they get other benefits, food stamps, free housing, lights, and now they get free water.
It's not
And
free water.
It's not, I think what he explained earlier is that part of that availability
Is low.
is decreased, but the rest is the same for folks with SNAP. And we're,
Well, we know that's a classification of people that the state of Mississippi, through with the federal SNAP program, which is the Supplemental Nutrition Program, that's the food stamps. It's because they meet the qualifications of not having enough income to survive on their own. That's how they get into that program.
thank you.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
not going to debate the qualifications for SNAP. It was a mechanism at which we could say, we know these people have qualified through the state of Mississippi as eligible to receive the benefits, and if they are already receiving benefits to help them get food, they should get some benefit to get water, because water is every bit as important as food. And in fact, you can live 3 days without water. You can live 30 days without food.
Okay, one question, and then I'll go to you. The question is there a website or number other than the 500, 5,200 to find out where work crews will be and if roads will be closed and how long? And then the second question is...
Can I get that one? Don't
Yeah,
give
go
me
ahead.
two, I'll forget.
Okay, go ahead.
So on that question, we're working to get to that point. And remember, we're pretty new still. And so at some point, our website will have project information in the not too distant future where you can see where our work crews are going to be. But that's on the bigger projects. Because, you know, what we're doing a lot right now is find and fix. We're looking for the leaks and we're fixing them. And so we don't have as much advance notice on that. So if you're thinking about the problems getting through Prentice Street and what we're doing on Northside Drive, where we've had major inconveniences for folks, we will do better at putting those on the website as we can plan those out. But again, we're still getting our feet under us.
Okay, and the second question is how do we know when we receive a new water meter? Like, I
That's a
don't
good
normally
question.
check mine.
It's normally on the bill. What does it say? Yeah, they have a little antenna on top of them, but they're in the box in your front yard.
Is it the one with the circle? Is that the antenna?
No, it's a almost rectangular box.
Okay, well, I
No,
don't
the
have
antenna is a circle, but the box itself is almost a rectangle. Right.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Mr. Hefner, we want to know, we pastor a church on Oak Forest Drive. And since we've been there since March of 2020, service is only on Wednesday for about an hour and a half, Sunday roughly 2.5 hours at the most. And since we've been in that building, we've had the City of Jackson, supervisors, contractors, We paid for plumbers to come out because it was said that there was a leak on that property. Well, to avail the people that you've all sent out since you've been in office, or you've taken over the responsibility of the water, 2 contractors have been out there twice, supervisors. I've been on the phone with one of the representatives at the water company. We've emailed back and forth. I've sent pictures showing where there is water coming out of the concrete. There's been 2 major leaks in the street, and now it's on the sidewalk, and we're consistently told that we have a leak on our property, and it's clearly been stated that there is no leak on the property. Even after all the water's turned off, the meter consistently runs. And I've seen a bill since we started from $200 to I just received a bill in the mail for October that I just got that says that we owe $126,000. Not only that, we were paying the bill whether we were getting a bill or not. We went to the water company to try to get some kind of resolution for it, and we were told to just stop paying the bill because they didn't want us paying a bill that we didn't owe. We did everything that the city has asked us to do. And I don't want to be the person that my congregation has to look at to say that the water is off and we hadn't taken care of the bills. And we're still paying even though we know we don't owe $126,000 on that property. And so we're just trying to find out, what is it that it is going to take for us to get some kind of resolution to it? Because I've been fighting this fight 3 years, and I'm just at a total loss as to what we need to do at this point.
Well, again, I can't speak to individual accounts right now. You need to call. If you haven't called us, obviously you've had folks out there. If there's water going through your meter, and even all your water's off, there's a leak somewhere on your property. And the stuff in the street's not related to, if it's going through, only way we're going to see readings in your meter is if water flows through your meter.
Yeah, Ted, just a moment. There's a lot of frustration out here,
No doubt.
okay? And I think a lot, and there's a lot of individuals with individual situations that want action. That's what I'm seeing.
Well,
Do
call-
you guys,
call in.
do you have anything like a project officer or a case officer that can get assigned to some of the, especially the tough cases, until they get a resolution? Do you have anything like that?
Everything gets elevated. If they're talking to our call center and our call center can't solve the problem, we elevate it to a different group that's in our building that's much more sophisticated in their ability to use our system. And they work through that. And then ultimately it gets elevated to Carla.
Okay, let me ask
But
this.
we're not going to elevate all these right now. I mean,
Yeah,
at this point, we need to make sure they've gone through the system, and they, at that point, if they, on their second call on haven't got my meter resolution, haven't got my bill resolution, ask to have it elevated, and we will have someone else work on it.
Let me ask this question. How many folks in here have individual concerns about their water bill? Show me your hands, please.
Well, and that's not the intent of this meeting.
Right, and that's one of the things I want to point out. When we set up this meeting this morning, a while back, I had a conversation this morning, though, with one of their executives, and it went like, we need to have some kind of way to have a one-on-one where you can talk to someone and get a resolution. And I think Ms. Carla spoke this morning. That was part of our conversation, because by and large, a lot of people are concerned about that thing. Now, our agenda was, hey, we introduced the water rates. They took over the sewage and wastewater, and we got wastewater leaks and a bunch of different things. But now it seems as though we're back to that issue of we need somebody or something, better.
We got a number. Call the number.
Okay,
That is who you got.
I know, but apparently that number isn't quite getting the customer satisfaction that we would desire.
We're dealing with 61,000 accounts.
I understand.
I got a quick question. I've been
Yes,
waiting.
go ahead.
I got a quick question based on what he was saying in the church. People were saying over there. Okay, all the water, they got a big bill. They thinking come from the leak, right? Okay, well, who paying for the water that just constantly flowing for days and days? So somebody got to be paying for it if the customer not paying for it. Who the citizens of Jackson? And my second question is, if the water so safe, everybody keeps saying it's safe, we haven't seen the mayor, nobody just come on national TV or nothing and drink some of it.
I drink it all the time.
Ain't nobody came on TV. This water's safe. We finna drink it today. They just keep saying it's safe, but they ain't showing us. They just keep telling us.
We'll keep doing it. Not a problem. Thank you for that idea.
Come to the neighborhood and drink it now. Don't drink it at City Hall.
I don't work in City Hall.
Let's ride down the street and let somebody stop you and say,
Okay,
hey, come taste my water.
And there's a concern. There's a real concern about quality. And one of the issues is this: we have a pattern. We've had years of seeing and hearing and feeling that we got bad water. That trust is not going to come easily. And so what we have to do, Ted, is we have to keep hitting at it. I just started drinking tap water maybe 6 months ago.
All right.
Okay? Why? Because I didn't trust it.
You look smarter.
Yeah. Well, and my background is I'm an environmental scientist that have sampled drinking water both here and overseas. I know the business, but I didn't trust it. So until we get to that level of trust in the quality, trust in the billing system,
Sure.
then we're going to continue to be right back here over and over, and we can have a meeting on this or that, but these same issues are going to continue to come up.
We're still putting meters in the ground. We're still converting the system. We won't be fully in the new billing system till March. You know, we are working hard, but it's not fixed all yet. You know, and it's going to get there. But give us a little time to build trust.
Okay, and the question was, who is paying for the water?
So when water flows all over, whether it flows through a meter or out, we all pay for it. Absolutely. It's part of the cost. Right. We're losing 30 million gallons a day. No, that's through their meter.
No.
That's through their meter.
And again, a year or so ago, we had this come before City Council, the Public Works Director, Dr. Williams at the time, and I asked him this question: how much water are we losing? And he said, basically, we're losing 50% of the water that goes through the treatment cycle. That's a lot. Now,
And it's not 50%, we're losing 200%.
200%?
Well, the way you should calculate it is we need 15 million gallons a day to serve the city.
Okay.
We put 45 million gallons into the system every day. Guess where the rest of it's going? Wherever. We're fixing leaks. We're finding them. We're closing them down. That's why we could actually shut down fuel for 3 hours last night, because we've gotten some of the leaks fixed.
Okay, I think
Lot more to go.
this lady has been, and folks, at 7:30, we're going to wrap this up. Okay, so please be careful with your time. And next, lady, excuse me, ma'am, you've been standing there for a minute. Did you have a question?
I certainly do. How are y'all doing this evening?
And I'm next.
I am Miss McDuffie, and I am coming with concerns because I have lived in several areas in Jackson, whether it's Raymond Road, Fondren, whatnot. There's been water issues no matter where you get an address. Oh, you can't hear me? Okay, I'm sorry. It's unfortunate that I'm here because it doesn't matter where you live in Jackson, we've had water issues. So whether you're out on Raymond Road, across the street from Lakeitha Stamps office, or if you're out in Fondren, or you're out on Highway 80, or you're out on Okan Road, it doesn't matter. There's a problem. I am here today because I have been trying to contact, I think there's an office that you said on that itinerary for Jackson Water. I have contacted them as of May and June about water bills. I've emailed them. I have my emails in my phone. I have texted them. I have done everything but go to the office because I didn't know where the office was after someone told me they had moved to Pearl. I was like, well, how is that supposed to work? But I'm just going to say this. I do live on Old Ken Road, and they've had low water pressure. Where I currently live, there is a problem because I'm closer to the water treatment plant probably than anyone else. And I have been coming home when I'm the only one in the home. And when I come home, there's a loud odor, smell, resembling chlorine or bleach in the atmosphere when I come home. So ordinarily, there's no one there when you put your key in the door and you come in and close it. I am just wondering, like, where is this smell coming from? I don't clean with bleach, but that's the smell that's in the home. And I'm down the street. I can walk from where I live to the water treatment facility.
So your question is, where is the smell coming from? Ted, what you got?
And the other neighbor that lives in the apartment complex, we met at the library and we was talking about it, and she was telling me it was changing her hair color. And I was like, what are you talking about? She works at the library, and she was telling me that she knew exactly what the problem was because it changes her hair color, and we just sat up there talking about it. So I came with my bills because I've had, just as everyone else has mentioned, bills, plumber, water leaks, whatever, etc. Addressing all of those, I still have not gotten any assistance from something called Promise Pay.
That program was shut down months ago.
Okay, so May, June, July, August. When was it shut down?
So it was shut down, I want to say July. But you probably got the credit that you are just not seeing on the bill from that was disputed account process we went
I live
through.
on the line where it is Ridgeland and Jackson. My bill shows Ridgeland water and Jackson water.
It shouldn't.
It does. You want to take a look?
Sure.
Okay. And I think, Ted, if you could answer one of our first questions about the chlorine smell,
City of Ridgeland.
as
These are all City of Ridgeland.
perhaps Carla can.
Yeah, but it's on the bill.
That's not our bill. This is City of Ridgeland.
No, it says Ridgeland.
That's sewer Ridgeland, sewer
But I
Jackson.
still did right.
No, you get a sewer bill because Ridgeland sends their sewage to Jackson to be treated.
Really?
Yeah. So that's why you get that.
Okay. Can you perhaps address the chlorine smell?
So
And it's happened twice. I've had
I-
one in May,
it's
June,
it's
and August.
Ridgeland's water, so I don't really know why you're smelling chlorine. They may have over-chlorinated. And
I
so-
live where the O.B. Curtis is.
I know, but you're getting your water from Ridgeland. That's
No,
your,
it's coming from there.
no, your water bill says Ridgeland.
Okay.
Okay.
That's where you're getting your water. You're in Ridgeland. Yeah, the O.B. Curtis plant is in Ridgeland.
I
It
know,
is in Ridgeland.
and I live near the O.B. Curtis, but
Right.
that is,
I know exactly the community you're probably talking about.
Thank you. We certainly appreciate it. And if you would, let's get straight to the question because we have about 15 minutes left.
Okay.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. You were next. I'm sorry. One moment, please.
My question is, and Larry Weems, I got two full questions, well, several questions. The number one is that is one of the sewer that we've been having problems in the streets on the corner of Dalton Street and Barrett. That water has been crossing our church parking lot and residents' homes. So we need that taken care of. They said that the line is collapsed.
Right. Yes, sir.
And y'all don't want to spend $20,000 to replace it.
Oh, we're working those down, but we have so many. I started out, I don't know if you were here early.
Okay,
We've got, we've got
mine is-
hundreds. We will
yeah.
get yours,
Mine has been 30 years in the
but we will get it. We
complaining
will get it.
about
We're getting
though.
things that have been flown for a long time.
Okay, well, then I guess my grandchildren are going to see it.
No, I think you'll see it sooner than that.
Okay, then my next one is, earlier you said about the rates, everyone is doing an average. Well, Ward 5, we have a lot of senior citizens who are in that area, And when you deal with rates versus in North Jackson or younger groups who's using more water, that tends to be unfair to those persons in areas that are senior citizens, because we do use less water.
And that's
So
why
how could that be regulated and just let people just pay for what they use?
and everyone has the availability charge, which is going to be the same across the board. And then if they only use a couple CCF, then their bill's only going to be $12 plus the 40, so that'd be 52. I mean, it's how much you use definitely impacts your bill. But there's a $40 minimum essentially going across every household in Jackson.
So if we don't use the water, then
You're
you
still
said
gonna pay the $40
we're still going to have to pay for
Because
it.
it's available for you to use in front of your house.
So water is available and I don't have to use it, and I'm going to pay for it.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
this
that's,
is my
that's
question.
tough. Go ahead, Pace.
And we want to thank you all for coming out to meet with us with our concerns, for sure. What I've been hearing is that, okay, you all mentioned what your problems were over in the corner here, and you mentioned the contractors, and you mentioned the city coming out, and what I heard your response to that was just the opposite of what they said that they were experiencing. So it seems to me that the communication is just terrible in terms of the citizens calling to find out what they can do to take care of these bills that are just unacceptable. And it seems, my question is, what type of qualifications do your people have who answer the calls? And you mentioned also that sometimes when the problem is not solved, you all go to another group of people. Who are these people? Because they don't seem to have the answers to what we're asking.
So again, I can't address individuals, but I can tell you.
No, I'm sorry.
We deal with.
I don't mean,
Right.
okay, what I'm saying is, it's not an individual thing.
It is
This
really-
seems to be a problem, citywide, thank you,
it
that
isn't-
that
it
wi- that
isn't-
they're not able to address us with. You've got so many, and I'll just go to the seniors. Imagine seniors here who get on the phone, make that call, and they're told, there's no solution.
But that isn't the norm, really. There's
That's
thousands
not?
of calls a day.
Because that's what I've heard from the majority of the
people that-
responses.
So who shows up to a
that,
meeting?
sir,
Who shows up to a meeting like this? The people that are having a problem. You're
not
getting-
necessarily,
you're getting-
sir.
oh, yeah.
Sir, and I have to disagree with you. There are many people who have problems that aren't able to come to the meetings. So we're being their voice, if you will. But I'm just not getting tonight the answers that I felt that I was going to get based on the problems that are out there. And I know you all are doing the best
and
you
I came here to
can.
talk about rates.
We just need a solution as to what we can do as the citizens to get this thing going.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Let me address something here. Again, we had a meeting 2 months ago where these questions were presented, a lot of them. Why did we move the billing system? How did my bill get to be here? What do I do? Okay, and I understand that, but tonight we just don't have the time. This agenda was strictly for, let's talk about the new rates, and then let's talk about something new, which is the sewer. So forgive me, but we have about 10 minutes, okay? And I would like to address the lady's question in this respect, Ted. Again, I think we're seeing, again, a lot of folks come here to this meeting in order to bring their concerns. And a lot of it has nothing to do with the water rates. It doesn't, a lot of it don't really have to do with anything but they have legitimate concerns.
No doubt.
And to her question, what happens in that billing system? Because in that office.
So the phone calls go to a call center. There's trained professionals that answer the phone. They try to resolve the problem with what they can based on they open up the billing system, they look at your account, they try to figure out what's going on. If they can't solve it, it's escalated to our building, where we've got folks with many years of experience just in the billing system. They aren't the call answerers typically. They are the more sophisticated. They've been working in our system for a long time. They're highly trained. They're almost all Jacksonians, and they're working hard every day to resolve questions that get elevated.
Can the
And I'd
average-
say the overwhelming majority, remember we're 61,000 accounts. Overwhelming majority of people that call in, get their question answered, we're satisfied. We're not perfect. So if you look around this room, we've got less than 100 people with problems. Okay, maybe there's 1,000 in the city that haven't had their resolution when they called in. That's still a fraction. We'd like to be perfect. We're not. We're working on it. But just keep working with us. Call, and we will get it worked out.
Is there a way that if I call in and I'm thinking, okay, this lady's having a bad day, I can't make any sense out of this, can I ask to speak to someone else?
Yes, absolutely. And they'll
Who
transfer.
would I ask for?
Just ask them to escalate it.
Okay.
You
Okay.
need to talk to somebody else.
Get it so elevated. I'm sorry, sir. She was been standing up.
I'm next,
Just
please.
oh, okay.
I have a question because I'm a senior citizen, I'm disabled. I can't go out and get another job to supplement an income.
Okay.
Everything's going up. SNAP's getting all this, but I'm being grouped with everybody else that's working.
No question.
You know, somewhere there needs to be a gap for people that can't change their income.
Is
They're
there
on fixed income.
is there any other option for
No.
folks with disabilities,
No.
retirees on that fixed income? There's no other
No,
options.
No, that's it.
Will they make adjustments based on what the water meter is when they find out it was true?
Yeah,
What my meter was before?
if there was a
Because-
leak, we will
No.
make adjustments.
I don't use that much water, but my estimated bill was over 6,000. When they took the water meter out and put the new one in, it read 57.54 or 44. But I was still getting a bill like I was using all this plus this extra.
Again, I can't deal with individual accounts.
There's no way to tell, and I appreciate a lot of times, look, we're frustrated. A lot of folks are just frustrated, and they think, well, this meeting they can get their answers. And I'm sorry to disappoint you, but what I asked Carly this morning is there a way she or someone in the staff can sit aside, take these things down, and the answer was, then you're adding a couple more weeks onto the process instead of folks just
call it
calling in. So it was asked. We wanted to have a little side place where there could be a sidebar and where we could get these things answered, and we could proceed with sewage issues and the stuff running down the streets and other questions that I wanted to introduce. But it seems as though this is more of a meeting like the one we had before. Ma'am, you've been standing for a while. We got about 7 minutes, I'm sorry.
Yes, my name is Shirley Miller. I live in Ward 3.
Yes, ma'am.
And my biggest problem is getting a refund for the amounts of that I've paid for to have my water turned on at some rental property I have. I have been writing, I have been calling, I've gone when the place was at Metro Center, and I know this was not what you had anticipated was going to be, but you see, we're all frustrated. So we had an opportunity to come and tell people that people have called. They aren't getting satisfaction. I have written you 3 letters separately explaining how I am due $300. And I can't pay my bill when you owe me $300. And so I'm not trying to point out the problem. I'm trying to point out what you all think that this was going to be. It didn't turn out to be this way because we're frustrated. And that's it. And I know you can't answer my question, but it'd be nice if somebody answered my letter. I have sent 3 letters. So if somebody could pick up the phone, call me, and say, what's the problem? I've sent you all 3 long, detailed letters addressed specifically to you to your COO, you see everybody, XYZ, the mayor, everybody, and nobody has tried to answer my question and got my problem. I feel for certain that some of the people in here feel the same way I do. And I just want you to know that we have to think through those.
I don't recall seeing the letters. I don't have an answer.
Okay, well,
Quick
again.
question,
we
Ted.
don't have an
Ted
answer to
Hennepin.
that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Who is responsible for
who's
the
speaking?
main line
Me.
that runs from
Over here.
your home to the city streets? Who's
On
responsible
the
for any problems?
water or sewer?
Both.
Okay, so both of those from the meter to your house on the water line is yours. You're responsible for that line from the meter to your house on the water line. On the sewer line, it's from your house to the sewer main. I didn't make this rule up. I mean, this is how it's been. I'd like to maybe change that at some point, but it's from the house to the main. So think about the mains are typically middle of the street. You own the sewer line under the street from the main sewer line all the way back to your house. There's a misperception that it stops at the property line.
Yeah.
It does not.
Yeah.
So it goes all the way to the main. And now, do you have the resources to dig up the street to fix that or have a plumber do that? And a lot of our problems right now are in that section of line from your property line to the main. And it's causing all sorts of frustration. I hear you, and I'm looking at how we can change that, but that is a real problem.
That is a big issue.
That is the city set that in place long ago.
Is it something that Councilman Foote and I can change in an ordinance?
Not now. You don't control the water or sewer system.
No, well, we can't do anything.
Mr. Councilman and Ted, to your right, my left, thank you, sir.
Yes.
On behalf of the citizens of Jackson, I'm not speaking individually. One thing that you need to do, I was gonna say I was gonna put myself in that. In that you're having these meetings and they are bringing their personal problems, you may want to either do some podcasts to answer the question that you're getting, or do an agenda specifically so you can answer these people's problems.
Well, again, they're so individual. We really need folks to be
So
calling in.
here's the thing. Customer service is the key. Customer service is the key.
I agree.
They hired you to fix the problem. Customer service is the key. But here's the thing. On behalf of the citizens of Jackson, you close this center down out the metro. You say it's located on Fortification. Hopefully, prayerfully, and can you send out communication to the citizens of Jackson letting us know where this is located? Because everybody wants to know where we can go pay our bill.
But you can't pay there.
Well, see, Mr. Ted and Councilman, that's a problem. Because the citizens of Jackson, as much as you are billing us, we want to talk to somebody face to face.
And you can make an appointment to do that at that facility.
Okay, and the next thing.
Yes, you can.
Okay, what is the procedure? Excuse me, 1 minute.
If you want to make an appointment, you call 601-500-5200 and say, I want to make an appointment to talk about my bill.
Okay.
I don't understand that in that you can GPS our meter
Okay.
and get our bill.
Okay.
We should be able to GPS and come to talk with you.
Thank you.
But that's not it.
That's not.
No,
okay.
that's not it.
We're running out.
Well,
it's
yes,
7:30.
sir. And yes,
This
and
meeting
if
is
the room
going
was
to
crowded,
close
I would
down.
hope that you would expand your time. But here's the thing: the building that's located on Fortification, I'm asking you on behalf of the citizens of Jackson, let everybody know where you're located, and hopefully it is the size of the thing that the facility that you closed down over here in Jackson.
It is not.
I knew that already.
Okay. Thank you.
But what I'm saying is this right here. The citizens want to be able to come and pay their bill at a facility. We
Okay.
want to be able to come and pay our bill.
Okay, ma'am, thank you very much, and we're going to be shutting this meeting down. Ma'am, we're going to shut this meeting down. One thing I'd like to say on the billing thing, and that is this. A few months ago, we had this very same meeting, and that very same question was asked. Why don't we have a place where the elderly folks can go and pay their bills?
Yeah,
and
like
at
a drop-off
that time, I asked Mr. Hennepin, I said, man, you need to work out something, Metro Mall, something where folks can go there like they've always been going there and talk to a person about their concerns. And the answer is, we got a new business model. Things are changing. Now, you can write your councilman, you can call them, but the fact of the matter is, this is under the hands of the Department of Justice now. And our responsibility is limited. We can have more meetings. Again, I'm thinking what I'm hearing tonight is, from Ted's standpoint, is this. Is the fact that if you want to talk to someone in a supervisory, if you do not get satisfaction, ask for someone else. Okay? Ask for someone else. And then also what I'm hearing is that, you know, we need to have some kind of mechanism that's going to provide that customer service. Okay? Okay, we got to have a better mechanism. And, okay, but what I'm saying is that we have to be geared towards the customers. And that's the same thing I mentioned during the last meeting. Now, a lot of folks weren't at the last meeting. We had it right here. And a lot of these things were answered, a lot of the questions. There's just no way we can go through individual. We don't have a computer. There's no way we can tell you the answer that's going to make you feel better. There's no way we can tell you an answer that's going to satisfy you. And, you know, so I'm not sure. Only thing I can do is make my office available, 960-1092. You call that office with a concern, we're going to forward it or email it over to Mr. Hennifan's office. But again, we're kind of limited. Councilman Foote, is there anything that you want to say in closing? This is the past president of the city council. And again, as we stated under that consent decree, whether we agree, whether we vote for it or not, it's going to happen. And I was hoping that we could get a lot into the sewage issues and other issues, but apparently we're not there yet. So we're going to have to shut it down. Thank you. If you have any other concerns, please jot them down. We'll make sure they get to the Mr. Hennifan's office with Jackson Water. And thank you for coming. Thanks so much for coming.
You can put a payment drop box at the location for them to drop their payments off. They can pay by phone, pay online. They can pay through a no-fee bank draft. There are 6 options you can give them to get their bills paid. And they're all free, by phone, by mail, by drop box, by